Um, good good day, Sir Miggy, and I have I am here to present to you about what is FCFS. First come first serve. Um, what is first come first serve method? It is an operating system scheduling algorithm that automatically executes queue request and processes in order to of their arrival. So it is the easiest and simplest CPU scheduling algorithm, and in this type of algorithm, processes which request the CPU first get the CPU allocation first. So this is managed with FIFOQ or FIFOQ. The full form of FCFS is first come first serve. So as the process enters the ready queue, its process control block, it is linked with the tail of the queue, and the CPU becomes free. It should be assigned to the process at the beginning of the queue. So the characteristics of FCFS method. It it supports non-preemptive and preemptive scheduling algorithm, and we jobs are always executed on first come first serve basis. It is easy to implement and use. This method is poor and performance, and the general wait time is quite high. So the example of PFCFS scheduling is buying a movie ticket on the ticket counter. In this scheduling algorithm, a person is served according to the queue manner. The person who arrives first in the queue first buys the ticket in the next one. So this will continue until the person in the queue purchases the ticket. Using this algorithm, the CPU process works in a similar manner. How FCFS works: calculating average waiting time. So here is an example of 5 processes arriving at different times, and each process has a different burst time. So using the FCFS scheduling algorithm, these processes are handled as follows. So first, the process begins with P4, which has arrival time 0. First step, at the time of 1, P3 arrives, P4 is still executing. Hence, P3 is kept in a queue. So step 2, at the time number 2, P1 arrives, which is kept in the queue. Step 3, at time 3, P4 process completes its execution. P4 or step 4, at the time sequel number 4, P3, which is first in queue, starts execution. Step 5 that at time of 5 P2 arrives and it's kept in U. So the step 6 at the time 11 P3 completes execution. At the time 11 P starts execution and has a burst time of 6. It completes execution at time interval 17. So at time 17 P5 starts execution and it has burst time of 4. It completes execution at time 21. So at the time of 21 P2 starts execution. It has a burst time of 2. It completes execution at time interval 23. So step 10, let's calculate the average waiting time for the above or for the previous example. Okay, what are the advantages of FCFS? Here are the advantages or the benefits of using FCFS scheduling algorithm. The simplest form of a CPU scheduling algorithm, and it's easy to program. It's first come first serve. We have also the disadvantages of FCFS. It is a non-preemptive CPU scheduling algorithm. So after the process has been allocated to the CPU, it will never release the CPU until it finishes executing. So the average waiting time is high. Short processes that are the back of the queue have to wait for the long process at the front to finish. Not an ideal technique for time sharing systems because of its simplicity. FCFS is not very efficient. We have the summary. The definition of FCFS is an operating system scheduling algorithm that automatically execute queue requests and process by order of their arrival. It supports non-preemptive and preemptive scheduling algorithm. It is stands for first come first serve. A real life example of FCFS method is buying a movie ticket on the ticket counter, and it is the simplest form of CPU scheduling algorithm. It is a non-preemptive CPU scheduling algorithm. So after the process has been allocated to the CPU, and it will never release to the CPU until it finishing executing. The next one is what is shortest job first scheduling. Shortest job first or SFJ is an algorithm in which the process having a smallest execution time is chosen for the next execution. This scheduling method can be preemptive or non-preemptive. It significantly reduces the average waiting time for the other processes awaiting execution. The full form of SJF is shortest job first. So there are basically two types of SFJ methods, the non-preemptive SFJ and the preemptive SFJ. So the characteristics of SFJ scheduling, it is associated with each job as a unit time or a unit of time to complete. This algorithm method is helpful for batch type processing where waiting for jobs to complete is not critical. It can improve process throughout by making sure that the shorter jobs are executed first. Hence, possible have a short turnaround time. It improves job output by offering shorter jobs which should be executed, which mostly have a short turnaround time. Consider the following five processes, each having its own unique burst time and arrival. Uh, Time of 0 arrives and starts execution. At the time of 1, process 3 arrives, or but passenger 4 still needs to execution, needs to complete, and it will continue execution. At the time of 2, process passenger 1 arrives and is added to a waiting queue. Passenger 4 will continue execution. At time 3, passenger 4 will finish execution. The burst time of passenger 3 and passenger 1 is compared. Process passenger 1 executed because its burst time is less than compared 3. Until the in the past in the time of 23, process passenger 3 will finish execution. And let's calculate the average waiting time for the previous example. Okay, the advantages of SFSJF or is frequently used for long-term scheduling. It reduces the average waiting time over FIFO or first in first out algorithm. SFJ methods give the lowest average with waiting time for the specific set of process, and it's appropriate for the jobs running in batch, where run times are known in advance. For the batch system, for long-term schedule, a burst time estimate can be obtained from the job description. For short-term scheduling, we need to predict the value of the next burst time, probably optimal with regard to average turnaround time. Um, the summary, the SFG is an algorithm in which the process having the smallest execution time is chosen for the next execution. Um, SFG is frequently used for long-term scheduling, and it reduces the average waiting time over FIFO algorithm. In scheduling SFG, job completion time must be known earlier, but it's hard to predict. If SFG can be implemented for CPU scheduling for the short term, it is because there is no specific method to predict the length of the upcoming CPU burst.